And for somebody who doesn't know, how would you define the title of a lake keeper?
I'm the eyes and ears of Lake Champlain. I'm sort of the Lorax for the lake. I was the kid sitting in the grass looking at the ants. I feel like I'm almost a lost generation of free range kids. It was go outside and play until it gets dark and it's dinner time, and then I'll send you back out again with a flashlight. As I got older, I realized I can't just love animals and love sticking my face in the water and love being there, but I got to take care of it. Lake Champlain is really large. It's 120 miles long, 12 miles wide, and over 400 feet deep at certain parts. It has a huge watershed. The land to lake ratio is over 18 to 1. And that's a massive amount of land in a massive area where people live. We're connected by the rivers and the streams. We're connected between the mountains and the lowlands and the agricultural land, because Lake Champlain really does reflect whatever happens on the land is going to affect what happens in the lake.
Whether it's farming or development or deforestation, those uses will be reflected in the quality of the water, so that it's literally is a mirror to what happens on the land. And clearly, we just can't keep doing the same thing that we've been doing over and over and over again to have a clean, drinkable, swimmable, fishable lake. So we have to really work on making big cultural changes to protect what we love. And that's why I take people out on the water, so they can find out why it's so awesome and why they should love it.
If I'm not out on the boat monitoring and patrolling Lake Champlain looking for issues that are impacting the water, I'm working with other advocates to systemically change and reverse the direction that the lake is going in. Currently, Lake Champlain is being dramatically impacted by climate change. And what's happening is that the environment is warming and Lake Champlain itself is warming. So when the lake water warms, we end up with extreme rain and then extreme drought. We started having rain events on July 7th, and it ran for 2 weeks on and off, depending on where you lived in the state. That led to a 3-foot rise in Lake Champlain. The spine of the Green Mountains was dramatically affected. All of that water coming out of those mountain communities was just overwhelming. It brought trees, it brought all the deluge of trash and everything else that were overwhelmed by these streams, eroding all of the banks, destroying all these wastewater systems. And it's people's lives that have been washed away. A baby car seat that belonged to somebody, that didn't just end up as garbage. It's a huge reminder of just how connected we are. And the reality is that we have a huge environmental justice issue that comes out loud and clear when we have these catastrophes. The poorest people that can't afford to live other places are living in floodplains. We need to really rethink how we develop our lands, how we let rivers move where they need to move, how we create affordable housing and drinkable water for everybody.
You have to think about, well, how does that water get to me? Between 200 and 250,000 people get their drinking water from Lake Champlain. Water is a finite natural resource that oftentimes people don't think about. The same water that, the dinosaurs drank right up to now, it's all the same water. It's one big limited resource, and whether it's stuck in an ice cap or it's in the clouds or it's in Lake Champlain, the cleaner we keep the water, the less we have to process it. And that's really an important part to think about it. If we don't put stuff in it, then we don't have to take stuff out of it. Simple as that.
So the lake's health is really impacted by everything that humans have created and done. We are building roads, shopping centers, massive industrial complexes without thinking about what those development projects do to our environment. We created a lot of hard surfaces, parking lots and roads and roofs. And when water hits a hard surface, it has no place to go. Normally, before that house or that road was put in, the rain would hit the forest or a field or flowers, and that rain would stay there and get trickled into the soil, make the soil healthier, eventually make its way into our groundwater, and then stay there and then get taken up by the plants, and it goes through this sort of water cycle. But we've interrupted the water cycle. We've changed that system so that when the rain hits these hard surfaces, it oftentimes will carry pollutants with it, whatever it's running into. So oil from your car, asphalt from your roof, all of our human living ends up flowing through the water that runs off into the sewer system, that runs off into our rivers and lakes.
All of that is plastic, white plastic. And what happens with all of that foam and plastic is it just keeps breaking down into smaller pieces. We call it microplastic. And it becomes next to impossible to clean up. So you just really want to make sure that you're A, not producing it, and B, if something does end up in the environment, get it out when it's really big and it hasn't started to break up yet. It's totally unnecessary to have styrofoam for, quite frankly, anything. Nobody's really told me any particular reason why they have to have styrofoam in an application where there isn't a better alternative. I challenge somebody to prove to me that there is a reason to have styrofoam in the environment. I can't think of any. This plastic is not going to go away. It's going to be stuck on our planet forever. And if people came out and picked it up, they might think twice about what they were using when they saw what it was doing to the environment. It's just, we're trashing it. Makes me want to scream and cry at the same time.
I really think that we can make a difference. I mean, we've created the problem. It's not rocket science. Oh dear. It's all solvable. This is not new science. We know how to save wetlands. We know how, sorry, I need to get a tissue.
Yeah, it's okay.
I didn't think I was going to do that. You get me talking. I'm in maybe the last third of my career. What am I going to do that's going to leave an impact? Like, how do I, like, what's my legacy? And I'm like, I better get going. Like, no time like the present. And I need to really make big changes because it's not going to be around. I love talking to high school and college students because they're really practical but they're also really optimistic. And I don't blame them for being pissed and angry at us and all the generations before because they're inheriting, a lot of problems. We did a disservice about not talking about climate change locally and what that would look like. And I don't think it was from lack of imagination. I think it was just people probably didn't think that it was gonna be maybe as bad as it is. I played with Fisher-Price farms when I was a kid, but we don't really have those farms anymore, and it's not a farmer in overalls. And a scientist is not a dude in a white coat. The system is changing, what it is that we see and what we imagine. Clever, creative, real collaborative problem solvers it's gonna sort of make a difference. And we can't wait.